How's it going, boss buddies? So welcome to part two of just finding out about me, really. So who is the luxury fragrance boss? Now in this one I'm going to be going through my own private collection and talking a little bit about my other hobbies and interests. As you can see, I'm still joined by Hugo, my best friend's Boston Terrier here, because he doesn't seem to want to get down because he's missing my wife. So I'll be back in just a second to tell you a little bit about my hobbies and interests, and we'll go through my private collection with Hugo here. So welcome back. Now everybody say hello to Hugo. Hugo, you want to look at the camera? Yeah, want to look at, yeah, say hello. Mwah. So I'm going to go through a little bit my other hobbies and interests besides fragrances. Now, some of you may know that I do have a little bit of a passion for watches. As some of you have noticed on my videos, I only actually own 2 watches. I buy myself a watch sort of every couple of years, but I have upgraded and stuff like that and sold on other ones. So now I'm just down to the 2 watches. So I've got my Rolex here. As I mentioned in the video for the first one, I work for a huge watch and jewelry retailer, as well as being fragrances as well. We are the largest Rolex retailer in the Caribbean. So I've got a very, quite a hard one to get. Well, it's a very hard one to get at the moment. But I got this one a few years ago, which is the Rolex Hulk. And the other one that you see me wear, I recently had put on a nice bright green strap. So you like the smell of that, do you, Hugo? And that's my Panerai there. So I actually get more sort of compliments on my videos about my Panerai. I think there's quite a few Panerai fans out there that follow me as well. I've had a couple of sort of comments about my Rolex, but Panerai is the main one that I get comments on. Now let's go through my private collection. Now, as I said, I work for a company that sells Creed, Amouage, Acqua di Parma and Bond Number 9. Bond Number 9 is not really one I've ever sort of taken to. I'm just going to try and put Hugo down. You're going to go down on the floor? Can you go down on the floor? Yep. There you go. Yeah, you can come back up in it once I've finished the video. So let's go through my private collection. Now, let's start off with my Creeds. He's running around my feet now. Let's start off with my Creeds. Now, I have, I think it's 8 Creeds altogether. The first one I got myself, though, we'll start off with Himalaya. Now, this is probably an unusual one that most people wouldn't start off with to start off their Creed collection. But when I first sniffed around, this was similar to something, I don't remember the exact fragrance that I was looking for, but this was actually quite similar to a designer fragrance that I was looking at the time. So I was introduced to this one and I just fell in love with this one. It was a much better version, and that's pretty much what sort of struck me, getting into these natural notes rather than the synthetic ingredients. So, I mean, this one here, this one, as you can see, I've had this one for quite a while because it's still got the old pusher on there, or atomizer as you want to call it. It's not something I sort of take too much notice of, really. I mean, they changed the atomizers. Hello again. They changed the atomizers pretty much because they had problems with them. I think the tops used to fall off and they had a couple of problems. So I'm glad they did update them, but mine was still intact, as you can see. So my first one was Himalaya. My second one, this I believe is my 3rd and my 4th bottle, which is Green Irish Tweed. This is one that I think I will always have in my collection. The reason for that is, I mean, I loved Cool Water. Cool Water was one of my first fragrances as a kid. And this is like a much more refined, much more mature version of Cool Water, much longer lasting as well. I mean, I still love this one. This was a signature, that was my signature scent for quite a few years. That's still the one that my wife still thinks of me as when she thinks back to sort of when we met. That's what I was wearing, that's what I always used to smell of. From there, of course, I graduated into Aventus. Aventus wasn't really, it's never really been one that I've really loved myself. It's not the kind of fragrance that I normally wear. This is my 3rd bottle of Aventus, and you can see there's not much left of it. I very, very rarely wear it now. The reason for that is, when it comes to Aventus in the Cayman Islands, it's the most purchased men's fragrance here, and it outsells, I think it outsells, the next nearest one is Viking, and it outsells it something like 10 to 1, something like that. So, I mean, literally everybody wears Aventus. I can't go into the gym without smelling Aventus on at least 3 people here in the Cayman Islands. So that's one of the reasons I don't wear it. I like to stay different. I like to wear something a bit more unique. I don't like to be a trend follower. I'd rather be a trendsetter. So That's why I pretty much go for sort of unusual and sort of niche brands, because I don't want to be walking into a room and smelling the same fragrance that somebody else is wearing, as would be the case with like Sauvage or Chanel, Bleu de Chanel, which are very, very popular fragrances here as well. But yeah, I mean, pretty much I'm not a big lover of the synthetic notes, as I said, so I mean I can sort of sniff them out in no time. They just smell, what puts me off about synthetic notes is it just makes, to my nose, it makes fragrances smell a lot more generic. So that's why sort of so many fragrances in the designer lines do smell very, very similar. There's not sort of too much individuality. When it comes to niche fragrances, that's what I really love about them. I like the uniqueness of them. So moving on, the next one I picked up was Virgin Island Water. And I also got Millesem Imperial at the same time. These were testers that I was given from the store, as you can see, because that one's got no lid. I was never really a big fan of this one. My wife wears this one, but personally, for me, I find this one a little bit feminine. Millesem Imperial just reminds me of Excess, the original Excess by Paco Rabanne. So I didn't really find sort of the longevity on it very, very good. So that's the reason I don't wear that one. Then after that, I got myself Royal Oud, which is one that I still love to this day. I still think it's one of the best ouds available out there on the market. It's a little bit more expensive than the rest of them. From then I got a Rolfer. A Rolfer was one that I really loved. This one's fantastic for the climate that I live in, because the oceanic notes and that sort of fresh smell, it keeps me feeling nice and cool. So that's one of the reasons I really like a Rolfer. Then I got into Creed Viking. Now, I was lucky enough to get the very, very first bottle that arrived here. This one was actually given to me by the Caribbean Creed rep. As I said, I got the very first bottle that arrived in Grand Cayman, so I'm very thankful for that. And this one is, I mean, Creed Viking, many of you will know, is my favorite Creed out there. I think it's such a well put together fragrance. It's perfect for all year round as well. It's got those warmer notes in, but it's also got those cooler, fresher notes in the citrus that keeps you sort of feeling fresh in the sort of hot weather, but then also sort of is quite comforting and warming in the cold weather as well. So on to my last one that I own, is the original Vetiver. This is one that, again, it's another tester I was given. I did actually ask for it, and this is another one that's fantastic for this time of year. So I mean, it keeps me feeling sort of nice and fresh. I don't wear it very often, as you can see. It's hardly been used. I got this one literally though right before I started doing reviews and wearing different fragrances every day. So when I did that, obviously I was getting in discovery sets on lots and lots of different samples. So that's why I don't sort of have a massive collection of fragrances, as you'll see. But putting my Creeds aside, now after Creed was when, well, in between some of those Creeds, I also got into the Amouage line. The first one I got was this one right here, Interlude Man, which I still love. This is one of my favorite fragrances. It's definitely perfect for the evening, and this one is absolute beast mode as well. Now, after Interlude, you okay, Hugo? Yeah? After Interlude, I got into Jubilation 25. That was given to me as a gift, in fact, by a friend when I helped him get a watch service with us, and got him a little bit of a discount on there. So other than that, I've got a couple of designers in my collection that are also from the company. So I've got Supreme Leather here from Ralph Lauren, which was part of a higher end line that they did. I think it was exclusive to Macy's, or they did an oud and a cashmere as well. But yeah, those were exclusive to Macy's. I don't think they were sold anywhere else, but for some reason we got them here in the Caribbean. The other designer one I own, which is featured in a video before as well, is the Eau Sauvage, and this is the 2012. Now, for something that cost around $100, I think that was the exact price tag, in fact, $100. I think the quality of this fragrance is so far beyond that. Now, they stopped making this one in 2017 because of the problem getting ingredients. Now, I think the reason probably was because they could not get the ingredients for the price that they were charging for that fragrance. Like I say, it's a very, very high-end smelling fragrance. But I mean, for 100 US, what was going into that? Just pure bergamot, myrrh, and vetiver. I think it must have been the price of the vetiver or the myrrh that they couldn't get. You okay there? That they couldn't get for the same price. The other one that I've got from the company I work for is Colonia Oud, as I said, by Acqua di Parma. This was gifted to me from my wife for my 40th birthday, which was earlier on this year, so back in March. So, I mean, those are all the ones from the company that I work for. So besides the ones that my company sells that I have in my collection, I also, in between all of these and sort of and later stages, I've got other fragrances as well. Now, during the time that I discovered sort of Amouage, I mean, I originally thought that Creed was like the best one there was, and there wasn't anything else that really competed with it. Then soon after that, when we brought in Amouage and Bond No. 9, I realized that there was other sort of higher end fragrances out there. So I started to do research, I started to Google, and the next house I actually came across was the By Kilian. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump. I didn't mean to make you jump then. Was By Kilian, and the first one I got myself was Taste of Heaven. Unfortunately, this one they didn't make anymore in the full bottle, so I got the refill. As you can see, the atomizer's missing. Unfortunately, I did drop it not that long ago, and I did lose a little bit of that fragrance, which I was very upset about it. But yes, so Taste of Heaven. Then shortly after that one, I got, which was this one here, Halfeti from Penhaligon's. I discovered this one last year, not far from this time last year, when I was in San Francisco. Some of you will know this pops up quite often in anything sort of strong or beast mode, and there's a couple of other sort of my videos. I'm a big fan of this one. This one is a beast mode fragrance. This is sort of, I mean, this one, between this one, Interlude, and Aventus, these are probably the longest and most projecting fragrances that I own myself. Besides maybe a couple that there's a couple in my samples and things like that I've come across that I'll definitely be adding to my collection. Off the top of my head, I can't think what they are. If I was to have a think about it, then I'll probably be able to name. But yeah, Halfeti. After that one, this was one that I recently got, Santal 33 from Le Labo. I had a friend visit him from Miami, so he was kind enough to bring this one over to me. Then back in the before that, back in the summer, when I was in the UK, I finally got my hands on, or my nose I should say, on a fragrance that I wanted to sniff for quite a while. This one came out I think it was the previous year, which is Straight to Heaven Extreme by Kilian. I really did enjoy the first Straight to Heaven, the original. One thing I found with it though is it just had no longevity and it had no projection. This one solved all those problems, and this has got a double shot in of vanilla, rum, and also the dried fruits as well. This one's just a phenomenal. I'm not going to take the lid off and sniff this one because I'm absolutely addicted to this fragrance. And this is my #1 fragrance that I own by, not by much. I'm going to come on to another one in just a second. Now, also while I was in the UK, I stumbled across an Arabian Oud boutique as well, which is where I've discovered this one. This is Tartil Silver. This is another vanilla fragrance. This is one of the creamiest vanilla fragrances I've ever really experienced. This one's absolutely stunning, and I managed to get this one for half price. They had quite often in the Arabian Oud boutiques, they have sort of half off sales. For sort of different promotions and things like that. So I managed to pick this one up for only £75, which I was more than chuffed with because this is a very, very good fragrance. The quality of this one and the longevity is just absolutely stunning, and it's just such a beautiful fragrance as well. Now, the last one that I treated myself to, some of you may have seen when I was in Miami in Osme Perfumery not that long ago, was Black Afghano. This one here. This is my #2 fragrance, I think, of all time. The only one that beats it, as I said, is Kilian Straight to Heaven Extreme. But this one to me, just another one that's it's just boozy and it's just hypnotic and magnetizing. And yeah, I mean, this one I just think is absolutely stunning. I've asked my wife for Baronda, another Nasomato, for Christmas. So fingers crossed that she gets that one for me. And then pretty soon as well. Oh, the other fragrance line that we carry, well, we don't carry the fragrance line. The Maison Francis Kurkdjian Baccarat Rouge 540. We do actually carry the Eau de Parfum and the X-Straight in my company as well. The reason for that is because we are a Baccarat retailer, not because we're MFK. So unfortunately, Baccarat is the only one that we have. So yeah, I'm going to treat myself, I think, probably to the Parfum version. The reason for that is I personally prefer the X-Straight, but my wife doesn't like that one. She finds that one far too sweet for her. So, but she does really enjoy the Eau de Parfum. So that'd be the one that I add to my collection. I mean, it is phenomenal being able to work for a retailer. Last week, in fact, I had an incident with Tat Libre d'Orange or Eldo fragrance I was wearing. I was trying the Jasmine and Cigarette and I couldn't stand it. So after a couple of hours, I had to scrub it off my face, and I went downstairs and I tried Original Santal for the first time by Creed, which I really did enjoy. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that and finding out a little bit about myself. It's always nice to sort of let people in a little bit on my life, because I don't really mention it on YouTube, and I'd love to sort of it's nice to get to sort of know my viewers and stuff like that as well. So, I mean, please post in the comments, please like, comment and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my video. Let me know if you've got any sort of similar interests or anything like that. Other than that, stay smelling fantastic. I look forward to seeing you very, very soon in my next review or top 5, whichever I do next. And thank you very much for watching.